Hey guys, it's TP. The Paincast has our first sponsor, and it's Southern Promotions Group. Southern Promotions Group is your one-stop shop for screen printing, embroidery, and promotional products. It's located in Cleveland, Tennessee, and their office is at 3535 Keith Street. I know Dad has used Southern Promotions Group on several occasions and has always loved the service and the product that Travis puts out. You won't find a better guy to handle all of your team's needs. Check out southernpromogroup.com for more info. That's southernpromogroup.com.
Tia refused to go to a game. In fact, she was.
This is amazing. This is hilarious.
I said to her, because Tyler's been going to a lot of games, and Trey Tucker goes to games, and that scoundrel Sean Souder went to a game with me because he pointed a gun to my head and said he had to go to a game. And so anyway, I told her, I mean, it's our money. It's not my money. It's our money.
Yeah.
That has been spent on these tickets. And I said, because she's gone to games before. She's gone to some games. And I said, do you want to go? Because I feel like you should get the right to go. And she said, no, I don't think I want to go. And I said, what?
Why?
Oh, why don't you want to go? She goes, because if they lose, everyone will blame me.
You can tell that she has lived in a baseball house for, the past 30 years of her life.
Yep. She totally gets mojo and all that. So she was just fine to sit there and watch the game.
So maybe it's not you. Maybe it's her.
Maybe it's the fact that she doesn't go.
Yeah.
It could be.
So she's not allowed to go to any World Series games either. Then.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, man, it's exciting. I'm looking forward to it. Welcome into the third episode of the Paincast. We have been getting cards and letters, guys, really praising the show, and so we're just going to keep going. We don't have any idea how far we're going to keep going with the show, but we certainly are going to keep doing the things. It's sometimes a little hard to fit three schedules into one, so we don't have any regularity in our published dates just yet, but we will. We're working on that. But right now, we're still trying to form kind of our direction, and really do appreciate the feedback, though. Good stuff from people. I like that people are saying, hey, you guys kind of say things that you've experienced that most people haven't experienced, so you can kind of give an insider's view on some things. So that's good. And so anyway, I am Greg Payne. Of course, I'm here with my son, Tyler Payne, and my work son, Ryan Beamish, here to talk a little about sports. We're going to talk about sports. That's what we know. That's what we talk about. We kind of stay in our lane. We're not going to offer advice on things. Well, we might offer advice on things we don't know, but you shouldn't follow any of our advice on those things.
Yeah. Disclaimer.
Yeah. So, obviously, the first thing we have to talk about,
the Braves.
Atlanta Braves. Speaking of someone who was there last night, and TP was not.
I was not
there. Now, Tyler, did your dad have tickets for that game and you chose not to go? Is that what happened?
I did. I chose not to go
Yeah.
out of stupidity.
That hurts my ears a little bit.
Yeah, Ryan, what do you think about a guy who had free ticket to see Game 6, the clincher for the Braves to get in the the World Series for the first time in 22 years, and he chose not to go till he watched that stellar slate of games that they had for college football yesterday.
Hey, in the defense of yesterday's college football slate, there were so many top-ranked teams that actually almost fell. Penn State loses in a non-overtime game.
But you couldn't have known that. You couldn't have known that was going to happen. You chose to not go with the crappy games on schedule. You said, I'm not going. I don't want to hang out with my dad. You suck.
I don't know. No one at home could see that, but Greg had the biggest eye roll I've ever seen when Tyler was talking about all those number one college football teams almost dropping.
Yeah, almost getting beat because horseshoes and hand grenades.
Of course.
Yeah. But, Penn State did lose, and we're all happy about that, right? Because if you live in the South, a couple things that you have to do is hate Penn State, You have to hate Ohio State. You really have to hate Notre Dame, but I don't. I actually like Notre Dame.
Yeah, Notre Dame's cool.
And I don't care if you guys don't like that or not. But anyway, back to the Braves. All right, so I was there last night, and I have been privileged to see an awful lot of cool things athletically. I've been present for some big events.
I mean, just think about the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, just in the last 2 weeks, we've seen some really cool things. But, I mean, I'm not going to say nothing tops last night because it's really silly to do that, but that's getting caught up in the moment. But 2 things. When Rosario hit that 3-run home run, the place came unhinged because you felt like the way that, first of all, Buehler wasn't throwing very well last night, and that got him. The 3-run home, you got it. But those 3 runs felt like 7 or 8 runs.
Yeah.
Because the feeling in the park, I thought that Anderson was throwing okay. I've seen him throw better, but he was throwing okay. And you just didn't think that the Dodgers had 4 runs in them. I didn't. But then it comes to, that was the one time the place exploded, and that was loud a lot.
Yeah.
But then second and third, Luke Jackson comes in and does Luke Jackson things. And so everybody is screaming to get him out of there, and they bring in Matzik. And Matzik knew that the 8th was his inning. I'm sorry, the 8th was his inning. He knew that he was already predetermined he was throwing the 8th.
Yeah.
But he had to come in the 7th. Second and third, nobody out. There's the tying run at second base. Strikeout, strikeout, strikeout.
And just think he had to strike out probably the greatest postseason hitter of all time in Albert Pujols, the first one right there. I know he's an old Albert Pujols.
It is an old, and he did. He completely overmatched him.
Yeah. And I mean, he went fastball to Mookie Betts.
Yes, and that's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
To end the inning.
Yeah.
Guys, the place, if there had been a top on Truist Park, it would have blown off at that moment right there because the people went crazy. Now, for a second, let's talk about Tyler Matzik. What do you know about him?
I don't really know a whole lot about him.
A good lefty pitcher.
Yeah.
There we go.
Okay. So in 2016, he was released by a team. Then the next year, he was released by a team. And then the next year, he was released by a team. And he was all the way down in indie ball just a couple years ago. And last night, he becomes a postseason hero. That dude he had the yips. All right? He had performance anxiety. And he's out there in front of 40, 50,000 people in the national audience against a national team like the Dodgers, knowing that so many people. And the dude just dominates. All right. I think that's a good lesson for all of us in regards to failure and things happen in your life and you think you're never going to be able to be successful again or whatever. Had you gone back to 2016 and told Tyler Matzik after he got released by his first team and said, now listen, 5 years from now, you're going to be a hero and getting the Atlanta Braves, to the World Series for the first time
since '99.
In 22 years, you're going to come in and strike out Albert Pujols and Mookie Betts, and you're going to do it. You're going to blow them away, blow them away. He would not have believed that.
Yeah.
So it's a good message, of course, in failure. You never know where you're going to wind up. Just give yourself the chance. Never stop believing in yourself. Always look for areas in which you can succeed. But it's also a testament to baseball.
Yeah.
Right? Because you don't see very many. I mean, Kurt Warner was a story from football a few years ago. You know, a guy who is out of the game or washed up, and then he comes back and he gets all the way to the top. And I'm not saying Matt's at the top yet because the Braves still have to win a World Series. But wow, last night was a pretty big mountain that he climbed, and who got from a guy who he was his own worst enemy. So I think that's phenomenal. Then they finish it off. You know, they bring Will Smith in, and all of us are. Well, I can't speak for everybody, but I can speak for Greg Payne. I'm like, what are you doing? Because Matzik, he threw maybe 5-6 pitches in the 8th. I'm like, let that guy go. Let him go. I was texting with TP.
Yeah, I was over at the Teeters, and we were out on the back porch watching it. And Blake said, hey, we got to leave Matzik in. Like, leave him in. Like, he's dominating. And I kid you not, as soon as he got that out of his mouth, I got a text from you that said, #leave Matzik in. So, it wasn't just you. It was everybody else.
Yeah, I mean, Well, and Will Smith, to his credit, the dude has like 40, almost 40 saves this year, I guess, maybe 40 if you add him up in postseason.
Well, how many opportunities has he had?
But,
Two.
But he scares the devil out of you.
He does.
I mean, he walks that first guy. I said, back in the day when I was playing golf, there was a number, I think it's 4 at Battlefield that's got water. It's a par 3. It's got water right in front of it. Yeah. I said, if I just walk up there and throw a ball into the water, can I just then hit one? Because I know I'm going to hit one in the water.
You got to sacrifice the ball.
Sacrifice it to the water god. I always kind of said, can Will Smith, when he comes in, can we just put a runner on first like there's a ghost man?
Yeah.
Go ahead and be there at first, and then you can dominate. Because the dude has good stuff.
Yeah, he does.
But his command is sometimes lacking.
Spotty.
Yeah, and it makes all of us nervous. So, now listen, I don't want to say here, I'm a Cincinnati Reds fan. All right? I'm a Cincinnati Reds fan, and I'm always going to be a Cincinnati Reds fan. But I also like the Braves because I grew up watching them and all that stuff. And I'm a season ticket holder this year. So, I feel a little more invested in it. Plus, I'm just a baseball fan. That was just fantastic.
Yeah.
So to see them do that. Now, let's jump ahead and talk about the World Series. The Braves played the first 2 games in Houston, where TP and I we were out there just 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I know. That's something somebody pointed out to me today before we got here. They were like, dude, you've been to both of those places that they're going to play at within the last 2 weeks. And I was like, I didn't even think about that. Like, how cool is that?
And the fans there were pretty awesome.
Yeah, they were good, especially the fans that we sat next to. I mean, the ladies they were super cool, gave us a lot of, places to go eat, which we didn't end up
We didn't go to any of them. We thought they were lying to us.
Yeah.
No, but, so the Astros, all my life growing up, they were in the National League West. So this is an old National League West showdown with the Braves, which is the dumbest thing ever, that Atlanta Braves being in the National League West.
Yeah.
But they're playing the Astros. Listen, I don't watch the American League very much. Been 2 National League fantasy leagues. My favorite team is in the National League, so I wind up watching an awful lot of that. But let's talk about the Astros. We did see them. I'm sure you've been watching, Ryan, some of the playoffs there. What do you think about the Astros?
They're just dominant right now. I mean, that's Yordan Alvarez is the hottest hitter in the universe.
He really swings.
I mean, it's lefty, righty. It doesn't matter.
Rosario would have something to say about that.
Eddie Rosario
I would have something to say about that, but Yordan,
he's
decent. But I mean, Yordan, I think, is just the best hitter on the planet right now. And they still have Altuve hitting well, and they still have Correa, and they still have George Springer, or not George Springer. They still have
the third baseman,
Bregman. Sorry,
Bregman.
Yeah.
So it's a scary lineup. It's you have Freddie and you have Rosario in the Braves lineup. But I mean, the Astros just scares me. That just scares me.
They got a lot more firepower in their lineup than
kind of like maybe the Dodgers did.
Yeah, but Altuve is also he have the most home runs as an infielder in the entire postseason in Major League history. Is that what it is? 22 home runs or something like that.
How many of those did he know it was coming?
That's true. I'm not speaking about that.
That's my next point.
Yeah.
Is this is literally when they say we went down there and they say Astros against the world or against everybody.
Yeah.
That's true. The Atlanta Braves last night became America's team.
Yeah, and that's a good point. When I was growing up, and in the 80s, 70s and 80s, the Braves had the moniker Nationals team. I mean, not National, America's team, and then the Cowboys stole that, and the hated Cowboys. But the Braves really were America's team because, and you guys can't even fathom a world like this, but there was a time when the only team that you could watch on TV were the Cubs in the afternoon.
Because WGN.
Harry Carey, 2 o'clock. And to this day, when I'm at a Major League Baseball game and they sing Take Me Out to the Ball Game, in my mind, I still hear Harry Carey singing, that when he's hanging out and he's, root for the Cubbies.
Not the home team.
I still hear that in my head. And so we could only watch the Cubs. And then in '88, the Cubs got the lights and ruined the Wrigley Field experience for everybody. So it was, it was different. But I remember watching the Braves every night. I really would watch the Braves every night because if you wanted to watch baseball, that's who you watched. You guys can't even dream of a world like that.
You can watch just about
Whatever.
anybody you want to.
Anybody at any time and whatever.
Well, we can make a side note about Rob Manfred and the blackouts, but we're not going to do that right now still.
Yeah, Rob Manfred sucks, and I wish. Are we still trying to get him on the show for the wrestling match?
We've called his people, and they're
Yeah,
still waiting
they
to get
won't
back to hear
return
from
Yeah,
us.
they won't return the calls.
But I seriously hope that Atlanta wins it in 5 or 4, whatever it may be. For my sake, 5, because I can only go to game 5.
yeah.
Because I'll be gone next week. But I hope that he has to stand on that podium and give the Braves the World Series trophy.
Yeah.
I really hope it happens because
Yeah.
it's going to go straight from boos to an unbelievable resounding cheer. It's going to be the 2 loudest things you've ever heard. They're completely different energy.
Yeah.
They'll boo Rob Manfred out of the building, and he deserves it for stealing the All-Star game.
Yeah.
The
from
Braves
Atlanta this
did
year.
absolutely nothing to deserve that.
Nothing.
Hey, they let politics get involved in baseball, and baseball has done a good job with staying out of politics.
Fairly well.
Fairly well.
They had
If you want to
here and
compare
there.
it to the NBA and
Oh,
the NFL
yeah,
and all that
gosh.
crap.
Yeah.
But the MLB has done a fairly good job with that.
Yeah.
So the minute that happened, it just like ruined it and put the MLB on that same scale as the other teams or the other leagues.
Yeah, hasn't been that many guys. There, I think there was one guy a couple years ago took the knee for the A's, and then next thing you know, like we're talking about him now, but I don't remember his name because it was nothing.
I'm pretty sure later on in that season he got released.
Yeah.
So
They had like one day where I think some teams did it too, and then after that, it wasn't.
yeah,
anything.
they embraced some of that during the postseason last year and stuff that. I just want to watch the game.
Yeah.
Leave the politics to the politicians because they're the dirty scoundrels anyway. Right? We don't want to pay attention to that.
Yeah, for real.
So anyway, you're right. I want to see Manfred get booed out of the building. I am not really a booer, but I am warming up the pipes to boo this weekend for loudly. And I'm going to know exactly what we're booing, and then like the person in front of us at Houston who she was booing fiercely. And then she had no idea why. She booed and she booed and she booed, and then she turned to her boyfriend and goes, "Why are we booing?" She was booing and she didn't know why.
Yeah.
Don't be one of those fans.
Yeah, don't be that. Don't be them. But back on your analysis, Astros are very good, very hot, really swing the bat well. They've got they've got good pitching,
Yeah.
but they don't have what really the Braves have already beaten. They don't have that pitching.
No.
Yeah.
Here's the thing about baseball. The hot team is always going to win. Tyler and I experienced that in 2014. We were not the most talented team in the state of Tennessee in the private school side.
No.
Not even close. But we were the best team.
Well, yeah, we were just tough.
Yeah.
Knew the game really well, and our fundamentals were incredibly sound.
Right. And the Braves are not the most talented team, but they might be the best team, and they're definitely hot. And let's talk about quickly, before we move on to talk about D1 or bust, which is kind of a big deal. Let's talk about the Braves, where they were at the trade deadline, and then what happened. You know, they're the hottest team in baseball since the trade deadline. They're 44-22. I always told my teams, if you win 2 out of every 3 at the end of the year, you're the state champions. That's 2 out of 3. 44-22 is 2 out of 3. If they can continue doing that, they're going to be the world champions. So let's talk about those pieces, though. What do you think about those pickups?
I mean, like we just talked about, Eddie Rosario.
I mean, they basically traded him for nothing. Like, got him for nothing.
Nothing.
Yes.
The
Because-
Indians released Sandoval the very next
Yeah,
day.
well,
Yes.
I say nothing, but they did give cash with Sandoval. I think because knowing that they were going to release
Yeah.
release him.
Can we say Indians still? Is it?
Or do we have to
Indians?
say Guardians?
I will-
do we have to
I'm
say?
saying Indians.
I will never call them the Guardians. I think
Yeah.
it's stupid.
Yeah, whole thing's stupid.
I think Progressive Field still says Indians on there, if I'm not mistaken. So I don't know.
They're the Indians.
Yeah, Indians.
Yeah. All right.
The other
Anyways,
thing,
back to
the
the-
other thing is Jocktober came from my Chicago Cubs.
Yep.
For Bryce Ball, who's a minor league first baseman, and that's pretty much about it for them. So they're not giving away these large pieces to ship away.
Right.
And then the former Cub, Jorge Soler, came down to help fill in for a AAA outfield that the Braves had during the season because they were just so banged up at
Yeah.
one point. I mean, you have Acuna out. And then you have to have like Ender Inciarte playing sometimes.
And then Pache just didn't hit. Hasn't hit well.
Doesn't hit.
So they were playing mix and match in the outfield for almost all the season. And Jorge Soler came in and was one of the best power hitters down the stretch for them, what they needed.
Even though he hit like 205.
Exactly. But,
Yeah.
they just needed some thump in that lineup.
Yeah.
And then Austin Riley obviously picked it up and hit 39 bombs this year?
He had an unbelievable
Yeah.
year.
So overall, what you said, 2 out of 3 since the trade deadline. That's what you got to do to make the playoffs, and that's what you got to do to dominate other teams.
Yeah, and I remember a lot of Braves fans, it was getting close. It was, August 31st, and nothing had really happened yet. And I remember getting on Twitter, seeing a meme. Somebody put they were poking whatever his name's Alex. I don't know how to say his
Anthropoulos.
Anthropoulos.
Alex Anthopoulos.
Anthopoulos.
There we go. Let the Greek guy handle
Greek
that.
guy should handle all of
It's like somebody put his face on something and they had like a stick and they were poking him. They're like, "Hey, do something, man.
Yeah,
do something." And then all of a sudden it was bang, 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 bang. They went and got those guys.
You want to know something else crazy about the NL East this year? The Mets spent 102 days in first place in the National League East. Did you know that?
Yeah, and then at the end,
didn't
they
make the
finished
playoffs.
third?
I think so.
Yeah.
Mhm. The Mets spent 102 days in the first place, and they got Javier Baez from the Cubs, and they got, obviously they have Francisco Lindor and Javier Baez in the middle infield. Probably the 2 best, infielders that you can have.
Yeah. And here's
Pete Alonso, and they fell off the planet.
You can't buy chemistry.
No.
And here's another. This is just baseball, period. You got the Giants win 107 games.
Yes.
The Dodgers won 107 games. And then Tampa won over 100. And then none of those teams are in it.
Yeah, Boston
and
sneaks in with a wild card.
Yeah, sneaks in with a wild card. And they get hot. And they beat the Rays. I truly thought this World Series would be between the Rays and the Giants. And those
I
two
thought so too.
I thought it'd be
those
really
two teams were out in the first round.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to count the wild card as a round, I don't really count that.
Yeah.
But in the NL, the NL and AL DS, they were gone.
because baseball.
Yeah.
That's just baseball.
It's
It's a series game.
It is a serious game, serious sport, and people that look at it the one game things. That's just not how baseball is.
No.
You can't test your team. You have to have a series, at least a 3-game series, but preferably 5, to test out what kind of team you got. And in high school, when you're playing a 3-game series, that game 3. The final score might be 19-18 because you're throwing anybody that's ever
That's got
pitched
an arm.
before.
Yeah, Johnny Holstaff.
Yeah, but let's talk about that for a second. I'm a lot older than you guys, obviously. I can't ever remember, and maybe I'm wrong, but I can't ever remember in the 70s, 80s, the term bullpen game ever being a thing. And now they use that, and I almost hear some fans sometimes say, "Oh, well, they're just doing a bullpen game." All right, the 3 of us were hitters. Would you rather face a starter, even if it's a dominant starter, for a whole game, or would you rather have a bullpen game?
I'd rather face the starter. I don't like seeing different guys come in and out every inning.
No.
Now that's just my opinion.
I agree. I'm the same way. I want to see a guy. I'm fine facing a guy that I've faced 20 times before.
Yeah.
And maybe I haven't hit him, but I know what he throws.
Yeah.
And the devil that you know is better than the devil that you don't know.
Yeah.
And you got these guys coming in knowing they're only going to throw an inning, and they're throwing,
Their best stuff.
their best stuff. They're blowing and going. I don't want to face that. I don't want to do that. And the bullpen game for a hitter is very hard.
And it proves true because in game 4 and 5, the Braves threw a bullpen game and beat the brakes off the Dodgers, and then the Dodgers turn around and do the same thing to them and beat the brakes off of them.
Yeah.
It's just, because Freddie hit that home run in the first. I think
it.
they had
That was it.
3 hits in the first inning.
Yep.
You know how many they ended up with? 4. I mean,
That's tough.
yeah. So I get excited when like the other day when the Braves were like, "Oh, we're going to bullpen game." I'm like, "Okay,
Good.
well, let's
roll.
Yeah.
It's hard. If you've never stood in there as a hitter, and I don't mean, 9 and 10-year-olds. I'm talking about guys that can really throw it up there. It's hard when you have no feel for a guy and you haven't seen him much, and he's up there knowing he's only going to throw 1 inning, so he's throwing as hard as he can with as mean as stuff as he's got. As a hitter, man, you don't have much of a chance.
That's tough.
So it is tough. So anyway, it'll be exciting to see what's going on. Do you guys know anybody that's got tickets to the World Series? Because
I'm scratching my head for a second.
I have no idea.
I don't know.
honestly.
yeah,
Heard.
well,
Some guy named Greg Payne? I don't know.
Yeah, listen, I'm going to tell you, I was watching the playoffs last year and got excited by the Braves. It was a fun run for them, and they were talking about going to play the All-Star game, and I heard an advertisement say the only way to guarantee tickets for the All-Star game next year is by being a season ticket holder. So I never really considered that, but the fact that the Braves moved from South Atlanta to north of Atlanta,
Just makes the drive a
easy.
lot more manageable.
yeah, and so I thought, well, if I'm going to guarantee, I'm going to go to the All-Star game, which, by the way, does not exist anymore in my life. And
Until Rob Manfred is gone.
when Rob Manfred's gone, maybe I'll allow it to come back in. But for sure, as long as that guy's in there,
I still believe that if you're going to be a commissioner of a league, you should have played in it.
Yeah, I mean, you should have some sort of feel for what those guys go through. But Rob Manfred apparently hates baseball, so that's okay. I hate him right back.
Okay, there you go.
So anyway, I decided to get the tickets for that, and I mean, who knew they were going to go on this run and go to the World Series? So now I'm sitting here with three pair of tickets for 3 games, and I'm just going to go ahead and answer the questions. Yes, I'm going to all 3 games. No, I'm not interested in selling my tickets. Thank you very much. Yeah. But I did look on StubHub, and they're going for like $1,500 a piece. Yeah. So I'm not saying that I can be bought, but you can rent me for a little while.
All I'm saying, I asked Greg when he walked into the office, I looked at him, I said, how's it feel to have the entire baseball world on your shoulders now, since everyone's rooting for the Braves and against the Astros, and you have the craziest luck I've ever seen going to home games this year.
It's astounding.
I would really like to know if there has been another fan out there that has been just on a roll like you have the past 2 weeks. I mean, it's unbelievable.
There can't be. There can't be anybody in the whole world that went to see Alabama get beat. And I didn't go to see Alabama get beat, but I got to see it. And it's not because it's Alabama. Yeah. It's because they were the number 1 team. And 106,000 people.
Second largest crowd that Kyle Field has ever had.
Right. So we're at Texas A&M. We see maybe the greatest game in the history of Texas A&M. Certainly one of the biggest. They were unranked, and they beat the top-ranked team, defending national champion. We get to see that. We have no business seeing that. We're not, really Texas A&M fans deserve that. Yeah. We get to see it. Yeah. And then they come back, and I see them play the Brewers and beat them twice. Then I see them play the Dodgers, and they beat them twice. And then I see them play the Dodgers again, and they beat them in clinch and going.
And then don't forget to throw in, we saw the Astros.
We did see the Astros already. So we scouted them out, and they can really hit. That was our assessment. They can really hit. Yeah. So, yeah, it's a definite role. And when I posted yesterday, when the Braves won,
you're welcome.
You're welcome. Just a simple.
And it got like 200 likes.
It's crazy.
And it's everybody is following. I was with somebody last night that was like, man, I hope Greg Payne's at the game. He's a lucky charm.
Yes. It's so funny. It's a lot of fun, but I know that there's going to be scorn as soon as they lose.
As soon as
everybody's going to blame me.
Yes.
Tia refused to go to a game. In fact, she was.
This is amazing. This is hilarious.
I said to her, because Tyler's been going to a lot of games, and Trey Tucker goes to games, and that scoundrel Sean Souther went to a game with me because he pointed a gun to my head and said he had to go to a game. And so anyway, I told her, I mean, it's our money. It's not my money. It's our money.
Yeah.
That has been spent on these tickets. And I said, because she's gone to games before. She's gone to some games. And I said, do you want to go? Because I feel like you should get the right to go. And she said, no, I don't think I want to go. And I said, what?
Why?
Oh, why don't you want to go? She goes, because if they lose, everyone will blame me.
You can tell that she has lived in a baseball house for, the past 30 years of her life.
Yep. She totally gets mojo and all that. So she was just fine to sit there and watch the game.
So maybe it's not you. Maybe it's her.
Maybe it's the fact that she doesn't go.
Yeah, it could be.
So she's not allowed to go to any World Series games either. Then. Yeah. Whatever it is, man, it's exciting. I'm looking forward to it. And I looked ahead at the weather because, I can't stand to be cold. Mm-hmm. And I saw that the high next Friday is 55. And I'm not happy about it. So.
But he's going to bear it for you all.
Yes. For the team. I'm going to do it. For the team. All right, let's change gears. We're all excited about the World Series. But let's talk about things that that we have mentioned college baseball a lot in here. And I always ask my guys when I was coaching, how many of you want to play college baseball? And they almost all raised their hand. And the reason I talk about that so much is I remember when I was a high school kid, back in the Stone Ages, when we played with rocks and sticks as our bats, all I wanted to do was play college baseball. I knew I probably wasn't good enough to play big league baseball. I knew that. I wasn't an idiot about that. And
99% of the people that are born.
Right, and more than that. And so I just wanted to play as long as I could play, and I felt like I could play in college. I did not care what level I played. It wasn't a thing. All I just wanted to do was play college baseball. I wanted to play as long as I could play because I loved the game. Now, I see people all the time tweeting out their offers, and they make sure that they say it's a D1 offer, and they seem to, they're not interested in playing unless it's D1. Yeah. Now, my belief is that's purely an ego thing, and I'm not saying ego is
literally
always
what
a
I was
bad thing.
about to say.
Yeah, but I do want your thoughts on that because you guys played college baseball. You played recently. Mm-hmm. You did not play D1. Tyler, I know you had D1 offers, and several of them, and you chose not to go that route. Mm-hmm. Ryan, you certainly, I've seen you play. You hit 20 home runs this last year. You're certainly good enough to play Division I baseball, whether you had an offer or not. Doesn't matter. Let's talk about the whole D1 or bust kind of mentality.
I'm 100% with you. The reason I wanted to play college baseball because I love baseball. It wasn't like this whole have to go D1 or I ain't gonna play. Nothing. I didn't have that attitude.
Right.
I would have played out in Hannibal, LaGrange, Missouri, where their claim to fame is being the birthplace of Mark Twain, because that's an NAIA school out there in Hannibal, LaGrange. All right.
You say Hannibal, it kind of scares me a little bit. I'm going to be honest. I'm scarred from that.
Hannibal,
from the movie?
Yeah.
Hello, Clarice.
Yes.
There we go. But I was in that same boat. And I think it's because I also had good coaches. Coach Craig, Teddy Craig, I've talked about him before. Mm-hmm. Big mentor. He made that message very clear to me in high school too, that it doesn't have to be D1 to be successful. Mm-hmm. And then when I got older and realized when I actually got to D2 that, oh wait, baseball, as being a big part of my life, it is. There's, like we've talked about this before, there's more to college than just baseball. And we love baseball. Yeah. It's hard to find people that love baseball more than the three of us. I'll tell you that right now. But,
especially you played for 6 years.
Yeah. Oh, it's okay. I'll wear it. But like I said, the other thing is, and this is just for baseball, we know this as baseball players, the gap between D1 baseball and D2 baseball, or D1 baseball and JUCO at some level, is small.
It's razor thin.
It really is. There are JUCO teams out there that could beat the snot out of 90% of some D1 teams.
And here's a good story, because I mean, our freshman year, who transferred in from Michigan State and was a stud at Michigan State the year before,
threw a no-hitter against the University of Indiana when Kyle Schwarber was playing.
Yeah, so this guy was no joke, and he was 97, 98, like he could bump it up there. And he comes to Lee, and you know what his ERA was at the end of the year? 5.35.
Now, for those of you who don't like baseball, that's not good.
No, it's not good.
And he legit threw 97, 98 miles per hour.
And he ended up getting drafted.
Yeah.
He got drafted, and he had ability, real good 100%. Ability. I still remember, we talked about this before, Trent Giambroni, who got called up with the Cubs near the end of the season, played at Delta State, little 5'8".
Hit 3 home runs off of that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And this guy, there is no, maybe it's different with other sports. I don't know.
Yeah.
But this comparison of baseball D1, it really, like we said, it's razor thin.
Yeah.
It's razor thin. You can make the argument, well, Vanderbilt, yeah, of course Vanderbilt. You can make that. Florida, okay, Florida, you'll have those schools that are just top tier. But take Lee and Maryland Eastern Shore, for example. That's a D1 school. I think Lee could beat Maryland Eastern Shore.
Especially last year. There were a lot of teams that Lee's team could have beat last year.
I'll tell you, you remember this. We went to Tennessee Tech after Tennessee Tech was one of the greatest.
They had that unbelievable run the year before. Yep. They were one game. They went to Texas and won game 1.
Yep.
And then they were one game away from the College World Series. Yep. And we went up there our senior year, or my senior year, but I mean
his first senior year.
My first out of 3.
And they, they had lost a lot of guys, but still they're coming off probably the best year in program history. And that's a big credit to Brandon Turner, even though he wasn't there. Those are his dudes.
Yeah.
And we beat them. And my senior year at Lee was probably the worst team we had in the 4 years that I was there.
We didn't even make the conference.
No, we didn't even make the conference championship, and we went up there and beat Tech. Now they returned the favor and beat us the next game.
Yeah,
but still. What you're saying is right. There's this idea that people care if you go Division I or not. And the only time anybody cares is the day you sign and you get to have your little party and you tweet it out there and maybe they put you in the newspaper or on the news. But I promise you, once you go off to school, no one thinks anything about you. I mean, listen, in this job that I do, I could die today and everybody, some people might be happy, but most people might be sad, and then somebody would be sitting in the same chair in 24 hours. It's just how it goes, and we have this society that's social media makes it even worse because it's the shrine, but we want to be able to get a bunch of likes when we post that we've committed to D1 so-and-so. And why is it even necessary to put D1 on the tweet?
It's like, like we said earlier, it's just purely an ego thing. But I've never understood tweeting out when you get an offer.
I think it's disrespectful to the team that offered you and all the other. I think it's purely a look at me thing.
Yeah, I mean, it really is. But I mean, who cares that you got an offer?
That's right.
Here's the
Good
thing:
for you.
I'm not knocking on it. You need to be proud and it needs to be celebrated.
Sure.
But throwing it out there like that, it rubs me the wrong way a little bit. I know when I was getting all those offers, nobody knew what I had.
Right.
I mean, the only way people knew what I had was if they came up and they were talking to you or if they talked to me.
Exactly.
I didn't think, Twitter wasn't what Twitter
As
is
big.
now.
But still big.
Yeah, but the day I committed was the day when most people probably found out that I had a college baseball offer.
Right.
Same.
So
you guys have talked about the fact that between Division One, the talent level now we're not talking about the top D1 guys, those guys that are going to be first round draft picks, all that stuff.
Yeah.
We're not talking about those guys. Let's talk about the middle. It's too easy to talk about an outlier and go, yeah, well, what about that guy that throws 99? Well,
Yeah, that's Jack Leiter,
Yeah, I mean, that's different. We're talking about the middle. And it's my belief that you could take, let's just use one of y'all's friends, Logan Workman, for example. Is Logan Workman a Division I pitcher?
yes.
Of course he is.
Top tier.
Of course he is. Why didn't he go Division I?
I mean, honestly, because he hadn't hit that yet. When
Right.
he got
Yeah.
to Lee is when he just blew up.
That's right.
He was like 88, 90 when they saw him at the camp.
Yep.
And they're like, he's got some potential here. We're going to figure it out. But it wasn't, he wasn't some other high schoolers who were throwing 97 at that time. But, he had the ability.
Yeah.
But for him, his best move was to go D2
Yep.
and then to develop from there. And then now he gets
And he
drafted.
was-
He's throwing 97 consistently with an
And
absolutely devastating changeup.
He was quite possibly his junior and senior year the best pitcher in Division II.
Yeah.
I mean,
He
his
was.
stats right before COVID hit, ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, you used the term potential, and baseball coaches and scouts will use the term projectability.
Right.
Yeah.
And he was projectable. Big guy, good frame. Probably had never really been serious about the weight room, and may still not have been as serious as he needs to be about the weight room.
Well, when you get to college, it does.
It changes.
It changes because you're forced to get in the weight room. So if you haven't done really any kind of lifting at all, just a little bit that you're going to do in college is going to make a huge difference.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I remember the first time I saw him pitch because I didn't really know him.
We were at Florida Southern.
We were at Florida Southern, and
They were like
Lindsay-
the number one team in the country that
They
year.
were.
Yeah, and that's down in Lakeland, Florida, at the Tigers complex. And Lindsay and I are sitting there because we had gone down there and we'd made a day of it. I think we went to Disney and whatever, and we hung out. And Logan comes in, and he looks good. He's a tall, lanky guy that well, he's going to put some weight on. He's going to be. It's easy to look at that guy and go, oh, he's projectable. It's easy.
Yeah.
But when he threw the ball, he was really loose. His arm was loose. It wasn't a whole lot of. He wasn't using all his force to get the ball up there. He wasn't obviously throwing as hard as he
wasn't
can every
max
single
effort.
time.
Yeah.
Not a max effort throw, and that thing hit 94. Because I'm sitting right by the pitcher, the POs for Florida Southern, and who were having to do the scouting. You know how that goes. They go sit in the stands and
Yeah.
They have a chart.
Just give them something to do.
yeah, they play slap. You know what? The entire.
Yeah.
So I'm watching him, and the pitch was up a little bit. It wasn't a strike, and I thought that was hard. He threw that hard. And I look back at the guy to kind of see what he was saying. He goes 94. I'm like 94.
And the thing is, too, up in Cleveland, it had been so cold.
Right.
And that was the first time that we had kind of sweated playing a game or
It
like
was.
practice
Yeah.
or anything like that. And so it really just loosened him up. And ever since then, I don't think he may not have thrown a pitch below 94. After
Right.
that.
Yeah, I know.
And I think Coach Brew used him as a closer some that year.
Yeah.
It wasn't really a starter. Didn't stretch him out.
He wasn't quite ready.
No,
He
I
just-
agree with that. It was a good handling of him.
Yeah.
He came in and he was dominant.
Yes.
Very good, very lively fastball.
I mean, Zach Shannon, probably one of the best players in the country. He was up for the Golden Spikes Award that year.
Mm-hmm.
We have bases loaded down at Delta State, and you got little freshman Logan Workman coming in,
Mm-hmm.
and
It was 20 degrees.
It was
with
freezing.
howling
Yeah.
wind.
Terrible.
And Zach Shannon thought a lot of himself. And
As
they
he
did,
should, though,
yeah.
yes.
And they bring Workman in, and Workman just not knowing, not being, I guess, just not being aware of the
Workman.
situation, how big of a situation it is. He goes fastball, and just throws it in on his hands and just breaks
his thumb, breaks his
Shannon's
thumbs.
thumbs.
Yep.
And that was when I was like, okay, this dude's he's gonna be something.
We got a guy.
Yeah.
So to get back to the original point about him, he certainly was good enough to play
Oh,
Division
yeah.
One baseball.
100%.
Yes.
And any guy worth his sand as a coach or a scout could see, yeah, because I'm friends with the guys that used to be scouts for the Rangers, and they liked him.
They wanted him out of high school.
They wanted him out of high school as a free agent, but they knew he wasn't ready maturity wise, and that's
Yeah.
not a slam on him, at all. It's just where he was. In his
I don't
lifetime
think
at that time.
anybody at that age is.
No, it takes a very
Special.
different person to be ready for what you're going to get in professional
Yeah.
ball. Even in college ball, you guys went from high school
Yeah.
to college. Did you for a second go, what in the world?
What is going on?
yeah.
Yeah.
Whether it's in the locker room or off the field somewhere or even on the field, the adjustment is giant.
Yeah.
It is.
Can you imagine
It's
at
really your
18?
first time that you're on your own.
Yeah.
I mean,
Like that.
Yeah. But can you imagine 18 being, 17 hours away from home or whatever, with a bunch of people that don't even speak English or whatever?
Yeah.
You're just not ready for that. So, and credit to those guys with the Rangers, they knew that, that Logan wasn't ready for that. But Logan was certainly good enough. What if Logan Workman had said, well, I don't have any D1 offers, I'm just not going to play college baseball?
He'd be a PE teacher right now.
Yeah.
because that's what he wants to do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he wouldn't be playing professional baseball, and he wouldn't have gotten the accolades that he's gotten, and he wouldn't have made the difference in a program that he made at Lee University.
Yeah.
So this idea that it's not where you start, it's where you finish. This idea that if you don't get D1 out of high school, or if you don't ever get D1, that you need to stop playing. I'm going to tell you, if that's your attitude, you don't love baseball,
Yeah.
and you probably just need to quit anyway.
Yeah.
Because college baseball is hard.
Yeah.
It's really hard. And when I say that is because you got your grades, you got your travel,
You got to wake up at 6 in the
you
morning.
got to
go
wake
the
up,
weight
work
room.
out. You got all these things you got to do, and there's no romanticizing it. Sure, it's fun to watch the College World Series on TV, but you know what all they had to go through to get there,
No, they have no idea.
and they have no idea, and so they think, well, if I go Division I, that's going to validate me as some sort of player. It has nothing. If you go to Division I and never play. What good did you do yourself? You had fun on signing day, and that's about it. So for all the guys that listen out there, or more specifically the parents that listen, if you are fostering the attitude of, hey, we got to go D1, first of all, it's not we, it's he. Because if your dream doesn't line up with his dream, then his dream is the one that you go with. Number one. Number two, stop it. Just stop it, because the kid needs to play for himself and needs to go wherever he wants to go and wherever he's most comfortable, because it's his life and his decision. It's his road that he has to walk. If you devalue somewhere like Lee University, Florida Southern, Tampa. I mean, I played against a guy named Tino Martinez. You ever heard of him?
Yes.
He was pretty good. He played at Tampa. All right, Division II Tampa.
Yeah.
Some guy named J.D.O. Martinez played at Nova Southeastern,
Yeah.
Division II.
Yeah. So,
Some guy named Josh Willingham, another big leaguer, played at Alabama Huntsville. Yeah.
yep. And what's that guy that plays for the Phillies right field? What's his name?
Bryce Harper.
Oh yeah, JUCO. He played JUCO.
Yeah.
And I understand it was different because of his age.
It
and
was
all
little,
the
yeah.
things.
He
What he's
got
doing.
it. He got around it.
Yeah, he did, but he didn't say, "I'm not playing JUCO ball, and I'm just going to sit out here and wait till I'm old enough." He didn't do that.
No.
He played JUCO ball, wound up in the World Series, and showed his rear end against Chattanooga State, and all the things. But it's very important that you love the game, and I think if your idea is D1 or bust, I just say you don't love the game. You love all the attention that you can get from it, but you don't love the game.
What if I have like a little devil's advocate question right here?
Yeah.
So you look at all the people who are drafted out of college baseball. Most of them are from D1 schools. So what if you say someone who wants to go play pro baseball, they know that mainly these pro teams draft people out of D1 schools. What would you say to that?
If you're good enough, they'll find you. they'll find you. It's not true. That first of all, I would tell people to look at the percentages of people that get drafted as to people that actually make the big leagues.
Yeah,
Yes,
I think
that
it's
is true.
So the amount of people they drafted, 97% of them never make it.
Never make the big leagues. So your chances are very slim anyway. But if you're good enough, they'll find you. They
Right.
found Logan Workman.
They did.
They find guys every single year. You're watching the draft, and they say some guy from, unknown university, unknown state,
Yep.
in unknown, so and so. You look at it and you go, I never even heard of that school. And that guy's a first rounder. Yeah, because they'll find you. The baseball network. Well, I'll tell you this: Tyler Payne, every offer he got, with his last offer, they knew what all his other offers were. Because they talk. The network is very real.
Yeah.
It's a good old boy system. It is. But nobody's going to see a guy out in Montana and not tell anybody about him. Because baseball coaches and scouts are very insecure. And it's so inexact. The science is they want to see a guy, but they want to know that other people think the guy's special too.
Yeah.
They can't just go, oh, I like this guy, and then the guy turns out to be crappy, and they're like, why'd you take this guy?
Exactly.
They have to have, well, so-and-so said he was good, perfect game, and ranked number one. They want to have all that crap. So if you're good enough, they'll find you.
That's it. And then I'll turn that question to Tyler, too, because, like we said, you had multiple D1 offers, but then you chose the D2 offer.
Yeah, and that's just because it was my personal situation. Like, I wanted to play Division I baseball, of course. Did I have the ability to play Division I baseball? Yeah, I could have. But I looked so far down the road. It's like we talked about in the last podcast. When you are deciding on where to go to college, it's a 40-year decision. It's the rest of your life decision.
The rest of your life.
Make sure you said that. Make sure everybody heard. 40.
Yeah.
40.
And so I just, and like I said in the last episode, I just was not willing to put myself in that amount of debt just to stroke my ego for the rest of my life. And, man, I went to Lee and just had an unbelievable time. And we did some special things. At my junior year, we went on a heck of a run there.
Crazy.
And so, I mean, like I said, I think it all comes down to your situation.
Yes.
Because I think a lot of people looked at my situation and were like, what is this kid doing?
Right.
I mean, I know there were people that thought that because they're not inside. They're on the outside looking in. And so that's the reason why I did what I did. I knew I was going to play all 4 years. I knew I wasn't going to have to pay to go to school. And I was right down the road from home. I mean, it really was a perfect scenario for me. Now, it may not be like that for someone else that has the same offers and same stuff. It just it all depends on what you've got going on. So
when Tyler was up for Mr. Baseball his senior year, it was him, and it was a guy who was going to Vanderbilt. And it was a guy who was going to
Vol State. Yeah.
So I said Tyler had some really good numbers, and he was the Mr. Baseball in his junior year. So his senior year, I told him, I said, you're not going to win it. And he goes, why would you say that? I said, they're not going to give it to somebody that's going to Lee over a guy that's going to Vanderbilt because it doesn't look good for the brand.
Yeah, it really doesn't.
So that stuff is important to people for that kind of thing. Yeah. But I think when people, they're looking for their own brand, they want to be able to say, well, I signed at Vanderbilt, or I signed at Tennessee, or I signed at Florida. They want to be able to say that, but it doesn't matter if you don't play.
Yeah.
Like I know people who have stayed on teams that really, had they just left that team, they could have been a superstar, or they could have gotten a lot more playing time on another team, but the team wasn't as prestigious as the team they stayed on.
Yeah.
And they didn't get any better, because it's a proven fact that you don't get any better as a baseball player if you don't play.
Yeah, by not playing.
You have to play. I would rather get 100 at-bats in summer for a team that's not as good as another team than 10 at-bats for a team that's really, really good.
Yeah.
You do not make yourself better that way. Go where you can play. Same thing happens for college. Sure, it's awesome that everybody pats you on the back and says, "Oh, congratulations, you're going to play at Alabama." But you don't really play. You have your glory for that minute, and then you get down there and go, this sucks. That's why there's thousands of people every year in the transfer portal now.
That's why that thing exists.
Yeah, because people go somewhere and they go, this sucks, and they have to leave.
There's a ton of people that were more talented than me that went on to play at big universities like a Vanderbilt or a Tennessee, and they didn't have the same amount of at-bats through their whole career as I did my freshman year at Lee.
Right.
I mean, that's just part
That's
of
how
it.
it is. Mhm.
Do you want to play, or you just want to have the cool hat that says you're on the team?
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to. Do you want to play? Because if you want to play, if you love baseball and you love playing, and you want to play as long as you can, the idea of D1 or bust should never enter your head.
Yeah.
If you want the attention for the short amount of time that you can get it, listen, let me make sure. I am not throwing off on the people that go D1. Congratulations.
No, yeah, no.
The ones that go D1 and get to play.
It should be celebrated.
It should be
100%.
celebrated. What should be celebrated is they're playing. And listen, we got a bunch of them from our area.
Oh, yeah.
Who, and I mean, let's just talk for a second about Jake Poindexter. Jake has gone down to Georgia
Having
this
an
year.
unbelievable fall.
Fantastic fall. And there were, if Jake had gone down there to Georgia and then he never plays in 4 years, well, that'd be one thing. But that's obviously already not going to happen. Mm-hmm. Same thing with Cheney. Same thing with Tucker. Those guys have gone down there and they got to play a lot and have done well. You should go to the level at which you can play.
Yeah.
And I'm not throwing off on D1 because I think that's great. Certainly, it's the highest level in college that you can play. You should go if you can play.
Yeah.
But if your idea is that you don't want to go anywhere unless you're D1, then you're making a mistake.
That's a big distinction.
Yeah, because there's a lot of baseball out there that you would enjoy, and a lot of good baseball. Good baseball. I mean, I watched Tyler play for 4 years, which means I saw you play for 4 years, and y'all played against a lot of really good guys.
Really
And
good players.
you played with a lot of good
The
guys.
GSC and the Sunshine State Conference in Division II are like the SEC and the ACC.
They're tough.
Of Division One.
There really are a bunch of that, but it's not just for D2. It's for D3, for NAIA, for JUCO.
Yeah.
I mean, Walter State, we know. I mean, those guys could compete against anyone.
Dude, in Tennessee, let's talk about Tennessee Wesleyan.
Tennessee Wesleyan
Yeah,
is one of the best teams in the country consistently as an NAIA team, and those guys can flat out play. They could play anyone in D2, they could play anyone in D1, they could play anyone in JUCO, and they could compete with them. That's how good they are, and they're an NAIA school.
Because you just want to play. I mean, there are stories that we could probably fill up 10 books with of people that went to a school and because it was the best publicity for them in high school and they decided, this sucks, I want to leave.
Yeah.
We could write those stories all day long. But you can't write any stories from somebody who went to a school maybe that was beneath them and still wound up playing for 4 years. I'll tell you, it was a long time ago, and I was a really good hitter, and I could have hit at a higher level. I could not have played any defense at any higher level, but I could have hit at a much higher level than NAIA. But man, I started all 4 years. I probably had, honestly, 600 at bats in my 4 years, maybe even more than that. Because I started the whole time except for when I got hit by a pitch and broke my hand and then missed a week from hamstring. I played. I started every game. I wouldn't trade that for anything. I wouldn't trade that for one good year at an SEC school and sitting on a bench for 3. I wouldn't do that. I just wanted to play. So, and I think most people are that way. You can't. I don't think you're going to find anybody that goes, no, I just want to be at Vanderbilt. I don't really want to play. I just want to be on the team.
Yeah.
Nobody says that, especially not people that's good enough to even be recruited by Vanderbilt. They don't say that. So I think what we're saying is go where you can play. The slaps on the back and the likes on the social media posts only happen just for a short period of time.
It's instant gratification.
It is instant gratification. You need to find a place where you're going to play the most and where you're going to be the most happy, because those are the friends that are going to be your best friends for the rest of your life, and those are the memories that you're either going to cherish or you're really, really, really going to hate. And go to a place you can't guarantee anything, but man, if you know that I'm just going to play ball, that makes that decision a whole lot better decision for you. So, if you have any hate mail, you can send it to Ryan Beamish.
Thank you. I'll take it.
Cleveland, Tennessee. No, I'm just kidding. So, what else do we want to wrap up with today?
Wasn't really a whole lot of local football going on last week. I think the biggest game was probably Bradley and Ray.
Yeah.
And that I was at that game for the first, I don't know, quarter and a half.
You were bad mojo.
I was bad mojo because it was 35-14 when I left. Ray was winning. And I was like, man, some people were coming over to hang out. Workman came into town, so we got to see him. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to head out. And so I get back to the apartment, and by the time I'm at the apartment, by God, it's 35-30 at the half.
Really?
Okay? And so I have never seen – I played for Ralph Potter, unbelievable coach, multiple state championships. But Damon Floyd and his halftime adjustments – He might be the best at it in this area because every possession that Ray had in the first half, they scored on. I think there was one punt in the entire first half.
That's tough.
Okay? And then they come back out. And the first 4 possessions Ray had stopped them. I don't even think they got past the 50. And so Bradley ended up going up 42-35. And then Ray finally struck, and they scored their first touchdown in the second half. And then, Ray, they run the wing T, so they don't really throw it. But guess what? They won the game on a 66-yard touchdown pass because run, and then the guy was wide open because no one was really expecting it. I thought when they got the ball back with about 1:45 left, they were inside their own 10. And so they had to go 90 yards. And I thought, there's no way they get there. I said, they're going, and it looked to me like they were playing for overtime. But they broke off a run, and it got them to about the 50, and they went for it. And 66-yard touchdown pass. I mean, that was the game. That was the game.
Well, Macaulay did play
Clearwater. Yep. Butt whooping.
And they won that game, yeah. And I will just be frankly honest with you. I've been all about the Braves this weekend and haven't paid any attention to anything else that happened. I don't think Tennessee played this weekend.
No.
They played the first half.
I was about to say, they played the first 3 quarters, and then the fourth quarter, depth got you.
Depth ate them up, and, of course, and talent. I mean, Alabama's got better players.
Yeah.
But Tennessee, I was impressed with what little I was able to see. I've seen a lot of talk about there just seems to be a better attitude about the way they play.
Josh Heupel is the man.
Yeah.
He's the right guy. I think we got to steal. Because, you had to know with all the sanctions that were coming at Tennessee – it wasn't going to be a sexy hire, and it wasn't.
No.
I mean, you look, Josh Heupel, I didn't even know who that was. And, I mean, dude is just, he's won everywhere he's been.
Yeah.
I mean, he won a national championship at Oklahoma where he was the quarterback. He's played at Oklahoma. Like, his track record with quarterbacks is unbelievable.
Yep.
So I think once he gets some of his dudes in there, I've heard a lot of good things about them on the recruiting trail, too. Trent Dilfer, who's up at Lipscomb Academy, he talked about how they're different.
Yeah.
They have really impressed him. So I think Heupel's the man. I think, I'm more of an offensive guy because that's what I played in high school, and I know it much better than I do defense. Yeah. And Josh Heupel is an unbelievable play caller.
He's good. Alabama seems to be a little particularly soft on the to the passing game. We witnessed that in person with Texas A&M. I think Tennessee had a couple of long ones,
which is
yesterday. That's not to take away from Alabama. They're still Alabama.
They're still Alabama. Still good,
but it's just different seeing them that vulnerable.
It is because. It's Nick Saban.
Right.
And he's the secondary coach.
Right.
So he's obviously taking all this on him. And so that's why it's just strange to see them giving up so much.
And Georgia barely defeated the bye week this week, so they're still overrated.
They won the bye week by flipping some dude. And then he's now, I don't even remember who it was, but he was committed somewhere and he flipped, and now he's going to Georgia, some 5-star or something.
Okay. Well, that Clemson win doesn't look very good.
No. What happened? What ended up happening in the Clemson game? Did
they
they
got
win
beat,
this week?
They got beat by Pittsburgh, who barely beat Tennessee. So Tennessee's going to beat Georgia.
Right.
I mean, that's
how it's going to work.
That's a given. That's going to happen.
Well, and dude, Pitt, I think it was Kirk Herbstreit that said, this is no knock on Matt Corral at Ole Miss, but Kirk Herbstreit believes the best quarterback in the country is at Pitt.
I do too, because he beat Tennessee. So Matt Corral did too, but I refuse to give credit for another SEC team.
Yeah.
So anyway, I know you didn't participate in the college football this weekend because it's college football.
and I'm stuck on baseball. You know,
Baseball's still being played.
it is.
Yeah.
And it's playoff baseball, so that's all the focus.
That's
on
the best.
For me.
I told someone the other day, I said, I love college football. My Saturdays are always just from 9 o'clock, I watch game day, and then I go to bed at about 11 o'clock when all the games are over. Because nobody watches those 10 o'clock West Coast games. Right?
No.
So, but I love postseason. I love sitting there watching postseason baseball more than I do college baseball or college football.
It's awesome, and I really do hate that the Astros continue to win because I wanted it to be a Red Sox. I mean, I'm not a huge Red Sox fan at all or nothing like that. In fact, I hate the Red Sox and Carlton Fisk because of 1975. But it would have been really cool to that fan base to have the Red Sox in there because having been there this past year. A little name drop in there. Went to Fenway. That was, I mean, I've been to Houston. It was great. Loved it. But Fenway? Are you kidding? So,
And who did you not take?
you. I didn't take you.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. So, because you were watching college football all day on that day.
No, I honestly don't remember where I was. I don't remember where I was. I legitimately couldn't go for some reason. I don't know what it was.
But we're going to get you up there. We're going next year.
Yeah.
So, Fenway's amazing. If you've never been, you absolutely have to go. All right, guys. This is it for Paincast number 3. And join us next week. Well, I guess we do have to mention the fact that Georgia and Florida play this week, and there is a possibility of the ground opening up and both teams falling in.
Let's hope.
Which is the best. scenario.
That's what we're hoping for. No, we don't want anybody to get hurt. We just want both teams to lose and to go away.
Yes.
Yeah. And
To not be relevant.
Yeah, that's what we want in a perfect world. And I hope that all you Georgia fans are irritated by the fact that I said they're overrated. The Clemson win means nothing, and I hope you get beat by Florida.
There we go.
All right. Thanks for tuning in. We will talk to you soon.